Do I think this is pleasant news when it comes to Zebec? That even though nothing I say is financial advice, Zebec is going to be appearing in a Bundesliga game. So it's a soccer match, and it's going to be on the 28th of February, and it's going to be alongside Tangent. And actually, it's going to be a game that is Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern München. And actually, I've been to Dortmund and as well as München, and I think they're beautiful cities, and I just thought that was really cool. But besides that point, when I take a look at this right here, I think this is very pleasant because, sure, if I watch, let's say a game between Borussia Dortmund against Bayern München, I'm not going to automatically just take a look at Zebec if I don't know anything and be like, oh wow, what is that? Like, probably no, I wouldn't even know what that is. But I just find this pretty cool nonetheless because this could indirectly somewhat give more attention, right, when it comes to Zebec. Not that it's going to do much because ZBCN is around 50 times lower than 10 cents, but you know what? Maybe this could have future implications later, so I do find it to be pretty cool. Keep in mind though, even though as of right now the space isn't doing the best, for instance, right, I saw this statistic online that said how when it comes to the Bundesliga, in the year 2024 to 2025, the average attendance per game was around 38,600 spectators, right? That's really massive. That's, again, from 2024 to 2025. So we gotta think about, again, especially as of right now, even if we assume those statistics stayed the same, which they probably didn't, but I'm saying, assuming they hypothetically did right here, right now in 2026, so what, maybe around, potentially, maybe 38,600 spectators might look at that. Sure, maybe 99% won't know, but even if that's just like 1%, that's still a lot. You know what I mean? That's still way above 100 individuals that know what it is, even if that's just 1%. Not to mention, even if we just don't take a look at the spectators for the game, we have to think about people who will watch the game later when it comes to the highlights, when it comes to YouTube shorts, or maybe what people take a look at later in terms of, on social media. Maybe they take a look at clips or something like that. The actual numbers could be a lot more different than what is actually sometimes showcased. So I do find this to be pretty cool. So when people like to say, okay, maybe around 38,000 people see it, who cares? But again, there might be more, right? Because people are going to take a look at social media and all this. They're going to take a look at the highlights, all that type of stuff. So I think this right here, again, even if just 1% who knows what Zebec is, that could be pretty cool. But again, it's not going to make probably ZBCN do much in terms of price. But if there's, more recognizability when it comes to a project that I'm a fan of, why would I complain about that? Again, ZBCN, it's around 50 times lower than 10 cents, but at least they're doing something. That's the way you take a look at it. So I can't really complain that much. And anyways, I'm able to dollar cost average at these, relatively speaking, somewhat low levels when compared to before. Yeah, I'm not going to be complaining if I'm still seeing Zebec do something. This is my mindset. However, I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But actually, on top of that as well, we have to consider Zebec, they didn't have to do this, right? I mean, it's not like a lot of people were asking for this, but they're doing it anyways. So I do like seeing that. And keep in mind, the timing is kind of actually pretty cool because the 28th of February, and then actually, we take a look at, for instance, what's going to happen supposedly on the 25th of February, the super app launch. So that's kind of cool timing right there. Basically a couple days difference, just thought that was pretty cool. So again, people like to tell me, well, they're not really doing much in the month of February. Well, they kind of are actually. Those two things right there are actually pretty massive if we think about it. Appearing in a Bundesliga game like that on 28th of February, and then a couple of days before that, supposedly already having done the launch of the super app. Again, that's pretty cool. A lot of other projects out there, they're not even doing a fraction of that. A lot of other projects out there, they're radio silent. Can't hear from them anymore. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, the project is technically still existing, but what are they doing? I don't know. But at least I know when it comes to this, at least at the surface level, right? When it comes to what they update and stuff like that. So I do like seeing that. However, I don't want to make it this far just to give up. In my perspective, I mean, I've been holding ZBCN for, we take a look at it over a year at this point, right? When I first entered, it was around 2024. So Now we're in 2026. Now, granted, we're in the beginning of 2026, but I don't want to make it like this just to leave. This is my mindset. Again, my mindset doesn't apply to, everyone. It does not. This is just personally what I'm thinking, but I just don't want to leave. I'm still dollar cost averaging once a month. That's it. I treat this more like growing a plant or a tree. It's like I plant the seed, put the fertilizer, water it, wait for it to grow. It's not like, oh, I just buy a big tree or a massive tree instantly or a massive like hedge and then I just plant it like that. It's a little bit of a different mindset. Like I'm not trying to leave and exit every 5 or 10 minutes. I'm not pulling up price charts and, drawing random triangles, drawing falling wedge patterns, and then just taking a look at solely from the charts and not the fundamentals. That's not my vibe. I focus on the fundamentals and I focus more on a marathon type of mindset. So what I like to do is just hold, wait, that's it. I just dollar cost average once a month. I don't do any more. I don't do any less. But I do like seeing this when it comes to Zebec because, again, not a lot of people are going to think that, oh, Zebec's going to do something. A lot of people probably don't think about that, right? Especially at a time like right now. So I just thought it was pretty cool that they even care about advertising even at a time like this, which they clearly don't even really have to do, but I just thought this was really cool anyways. However, not to mention, if we take a look at Zebec, sometimes I feel like the team has this sort of pressure. And I think it's actually a good type of pressure because if we think about it, right? Who are the backers when it comes to Zebec that are pretty noticeable? Solana Ventures and Circle. Circle is the creator of USDC. If I was putting my mindset as a founder of a project, let's just say I randomly became Simon. I'm not, but I'm just saying, if I became the CEO of Zebec and I had backers like Solana Ventures and Circle, which is the creator of USDC, the pressure I would have to perform, right? The pressure I would have to perform well and all this type of stuff, it would be increased, but in a good way, of course. So that's indirectly somewhat of a motivating factor. So this is why I feel like also the team hasn't given up. Not only do I like the project fundamentally, but I feel like because they have these impressive backers, that often really do their due diligence before they believe in a project, those type of more established projects, right? If something like that believes in a smaller project, I feel like that team is going to have more pressure to perform. But I think that's actually really good because, again, we take a look at what Zebec did, having ISO 20022 compliance, which I thought was pretty impressive. Take a look at, their planned super app launch. And also we take a look at what they did, not too long ago with the NHL, right? In terms of ice hockey, we take a look at what they're doing right now when it comes to the Bundesliga in terms of soccer. So that's a good sort of pressure, right? If they didn't have those type of backers, maybe this type of stuff wouldn't have happened. Who knows? So I just thought it was really cool. Wanted to make an updated video on it because I thought it was pleasant news, especially considering how the pullback when it comes to ZBCN has been pretty extensive, but at least they're doing something. So I just thought it was pretty pleasant and I wanted to talk about it. But you know what? I'm going to still be updating when it comes to Zebec, and feel free to subscribe if you want to stay tuned for more updates when it comes to Zebec. And feel free to like the video if you liked it. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I also want to say thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate that as well. And I'll see y'all on the next one. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.